Hey guys, Joe Sidoti here. Thanks for tuning in to another video. This video is going to be short and sweet, and I promise it won't disappoint. I'm going to tell you the single most important thing that I learned, and it made the biggest impact on my mixes sounding great. Let's get into it. Before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you a story of kind of how I got to this place in my mind, and I realized this one thing that I wasn't doing. So I'd say maybe in like the mid to late 90s, I was recording a band. It was a punk rock band based out of San Diego. We were in San Diego, and I had convinced the band to record all analog gear, 2-inch tape. I just really wanted it to sound killer. And this studio that I actually was working at the time had just tons of vintage analog outboard gear. I'm talking about LA 2As and 3As and 1176s, vintage DBX stuff, Fairchild stuff. I mean, it was amazing, and it really made me excited to record there because I knew that it was gonna sound killer because we had all this gear. Well, fast forward to mix time. The tracking went great, everything was good, but I'm sitting down to mix. I mixed a song and then took it home that night, slept, woke up, and I listened to it. And I was so depressed. I mean, I really was disappointed. It didn't sound good. Like there was all these things I'm going, man, I don't know, is it this, is it that, is it this, is it that? I'm really questioning my choices. And I thought, this can't be right. I mean, I've got all this killer vintage gear. Well, obviously the problem was then me, right? I can't blame the gear, I gotta blame me. So I had to go back to the studio the next night and figure out what it was that I was doing wrong. Then an engineer told me, you need to mix at a lower volume. You'll save your ears, you won't be as fatigued, you'll be able to mix more songs in the same amount of time because you're gonna get through it faster. There were so many reasons why, and we're gonna get into more reasons here in a second as to why this is such a great idea. But he told me, you gotta mix at a lower volume, man. So I said, okay, I will take that advice. And then that night, I cranked the volume down, way down. I mixed the whole record. It was like 11 songs in one night. I mean, it's not my best work, but even to this day, it really stands up as a great sounding record. That's when I knew, man, there is definitely something to mixing at a low volume. Mixing at low volumes. Now, what do I mean by low? Well, maybe it's gonna surprise you, but I actually did an SPL test right before starting to record this video, and I measured the average volume C-weighted, that's including the sub, at about 55, maxing out at 60 dB. What? Okay, that's really quiet. Now, you know, when I want to go crank it loud, I don't get louder than maybe 80. But back in the day, when I was going 80, 90, 100 dB, whatever, it felt good, right? But that's the problem. So let's look at some reasons why mixing at a low volume really makes a big difference. Number one, the first reason why you should mix at low volumes is because your speakers, when turned up loud, can really hype the music. It'll make the highs sweeter and the lows deeper and punchier, and it gives you a sense that it sounds better than it really does because now you're just really getting that energy off of the speakers, and it is a false sense of reality. Number two, why you should listen and monitor at low volumes is if you've got bad room acoustics or a lack of good mitigation in your room, listening at a lower volume will excite the room less. Okay, now this isn't the end all be all to fixing your acoustic nightmare, but it will help if you're not cranking the sound in a room that has a bunch of issues. So by bringing the volume way down, you can really sit here and listen in the sweet spot and hopefully not let the room excite more and all those reflections come back and skew your view of the mix. Does that make sense? The third reason why I mix at extremely low volumes is this. When you can achieve attitude and energy and excitement in a mix that's turned down really low, then when you crank it up, everything that it does at that point is just icing on the cake. A kick drum's gonna have a lot more punch and a lot more smack when it's turned up loud. But what happens when it's turned down low? And why does that matter? Well, when you're listening to a mix that's turned down low, you're gonna more replicate what it's gonna sound like playing out of a small speaker while you're doing the dishes in the other room. You know, I call it the hallway test. What does it sound like when the song is being played in another room and you're outside in the hallway? What are you hearing? Well, by mixing at a low volume, you're going to be able to really emphasize the things that you want to emphasize. And if you can get that, having energy and excitement at a low volume, trust me, it's going to sound killer when you crank it up loud. All right, guys, that is the video that I wanted to make. I hope you found this interesting. Let me know in the comments if you already mix quiet or if you're gonna try it now that you've watched this video. I really wanna challenge you to try it if you haven't been, because when you turn that volume down and you're able to get excitement and energy out of your mix, I promise, when you crank it up loud, it's gonna sound killer. All right, guys, as always, I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you on the next video. If you like this video, then click that like button, I appreciate it, and subscribe to the channel and help support Sidoti Sound, and click that bell if you want to be notified when I release new videos. And of course, you can find me on all sorts of social media, so be sure to check that out. If you'd like to work with me on an upcoming project, then make sure to visit SidotiSound.com for more information. All right, guys, thanks a lot.